This is the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hogs Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Choate, joined, as always, by Robert Stewart and producer Christian back in studio. I know a lot of you miss producer Christian. We did as well. He provides a lot. And speaking of a lot, we have a lot to get to today. Of course, so the SEC tournament, we all know what happened there. Arkansas goes 0-2, goes home. 2-Q. Is that what it is? 2-Q? 0-2-Q? Whatever the saying goes. And now they're going to play in Stillwater. In the Stillwater Regional, get Grand Canyon on Friday for the first game, and we'll see where it goes from there. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at the regional, talk about that. A lot of you know news has happened this week. We haven't made an official Diamond Hogs podcast, statement, so we'll have that as well. And, a lot to get to today. And so before we get to all of that, I want to remind you that you can find us on the Hit That Line podcast network. That's at hitthatline.com is where you can find that, and type in Hit That Line wherever you get your podcasts. And go to Hit That Line AR on Twitter for your live updates during games from Robert Stewart. And listen to all the other stuff they got as well. You got the Morning Rush podcast, Trusting the Process with Ty Richardson, stuff like that. And, there's another podcast that something happened on. That's where the statement's going to come on. And also HawgBeat.com, the YouTube. Go check out the YouTube. We're back in studio. If you want to see us back in studio, not on Zoom, not in a hotel room.
Not at the Embassy Suites, Hoover, Birmingham.
Embassy Suites in Hoover. Go watch us on the HawgBeat YouTube. And go to HawgBeat.com to subscribe for all the best Razorback athletics content. Not just baseball, but Razorback athletics in general. And we do a little bit more than that. I do some minor league, some major league stuff. Had a story about Evan Lee, who we're recording this on Wednesday. He's getting his start. We might go watch that.
He's mere minutes away from his professional debut. Major league debut.
Gonna start for the Washington Nationals. That's your team, Robert. Does that feel good?
The first Diamond Hogs podcast guest ever to pitch in Major League Baseball will be pitching for the Washington Nationals.
Pitching for your favorite team. For those of you who don't know, Robert's a Virginia native, so he's a huge Nationals fan.
Can't accuse me of being bandwagon this year.
No. The Nationals do suck, though, and so do the Royals, so I cannot say much. So HawgBeat.com, go subscribe. And we are brought to you today by Matt Morris State Farm. Very, very thankful for Matt Morris State Farm. He has helped us get to Hoover. He's going to help us get to Stillwater, and he can help you drive safe as well. You might know him because he's a University of Arkansas alum, so you have that connection with him. He also has great service. He's your good neighbor after all, but did you know that State Farm has surprisingly great rates too? This is something that I didn't know when I was looking for car insurance. I was trying to find good quotes. Just assume that State Farm would be high priced because they have all these commercials. It's just going to be high priced car insurance, but it wasn't. They actually had the best quotes of anybody, and you can get that as well if you call Matt Morris and his team at 501-568-3222. He has surprisingly great rates, but it's not only in the central Arkansas area, which is where he's located, it's in all of hog country. So call him at that number. It's 501-568-3222 for your surprisingly great rates today. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. Robert, take over. I just talked a lot.
Yes, you did. Stillwater Regional is coming up. The Hogs are set to play at noon Friday against the Grand Canyon Antelopes.
I think it's the Antelopes, yeah.
All right. As some of you may recall, they were the last team Arkansas played in the year 2020. Will McIntyre, that was famously his last appearance before his, resurgence in 2022. He went 6 innings in that one, right?
I just had it pulled up.
We were just talking about that.
6 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, no walks.
There you go. And we learned rediscovered, I don't know if we learned it, but in the last press conference with Dave Van Horn on Monday that Kevin Kopps was the starter in that second game of the 2-game midweek set.
Yeah, so Grand Canyon was the last team that Arkansas played before COVID shut everything down.
Yeah.
The last pitcher to throw a pitch for Arkansas was Peyton Paulette. Yeah. Let's see. Who had a good game that game the last time? Let's see. Casey Martin went 3 for 5, had 4 RBI. That was a big game for Casey Martin. How many? Did he have a homer? in that one? Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, he did. Casey Martin and Matt Goodhart both had home runs in that one. That was a big thing because Casey Martin, that whole year,
He was slumping.
He was slumping a lot. So for him to go 3 for 5 in that game, Goodhart went 2 for 4. Heston Kjerstad 2 for 5. Robert Moore went 2 for 5. A lot of people might not remember that Robert Moore was on that team.
That was a weird year to be a freshman.
Yeah, I'd say so. So yeah, and the thing about Grand Canyon is they are a really good team this year.
Yeah, I mean they were in D1 baseball's top 25 until this week. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how their conference tournament. What conference are they in?
They won their conference tournament, the WAC, which is
The Western Athletic Conference.
I would
maybe
assume that's what it is. Yeah, they won their conference tournament.
So how do you suppose they fell out of the rankings then?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their schedule. But this isn't one of those teams where I think think about Arkansas playing like Colgate in the NCAA basketball tournament last year, or who was the first team they put? Vermont. Two teams that have good records but play in bad conferences, don't play quality opponents. That's not Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon played quality opponents. I mean, they won 2 of 3 midweek games against Arizona. They swept a 2-game midweek series against Texas Tech, split a pair of games with Arizona State, Oregon State, and Stanford.
Split games with Oregon State and Stanford. Who are both top 8 national seed, top 3 national seed.
Yes. So this is not a team to take lightly at all.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. It's like, well, do you look at this like a midweek? And then I remembered that the 4 seed Missouri State in this regional is the only team that beat the Razorbacks in a midweek. So, I mean, you can look at it that way, but prepare to be disappointed.
Missouri State, a team that went 30-27 on the year, but they stole a bid when they won their conference tournament.
Correct.
So
I think Dallas Baptist was the overwhelming favorite in the Missouri Valley, right?
Yeah. So and then of course Oklahoma State, who at one point a top 5 team, they kind of slid down there at the end. They're the number 7 overall seed, right? Okay.
Correct.
I remember that. And so another team in Oklahoma State that's a really good baseball team, 39-20, did really well in the Big 12 this year. I was looking at it. They swept Texas at Texas. They did get swept by Texas Tech, but they've got wins, series wins over, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Kansas State. Some pretty good teams, and they beat Vanderbilt to start the season at Vanderbilt, I believe. So
right, and you mentioned their contest with Texas, right? I want to say they played 6 times. I don't remember where you said that one series was, but Oklahoma State swept. I think the Cowboys took 1 out of 3 in the Big 12 tournament. I know they forced the back half of a double elimination with Texas. They played a doubleheader Saturday. So they beat them 4 out of 6 times, and that probably had a lot to do with them finishing ahead of the Longhorns in the final seeding. Stillwater and Austin were both on the list as potential hosts, but Cowboys take 4 out of 6 from the Longhorns, and Hogs end up in Stillwater.
Yeah. The one series was in Austin, by the way, that they swept. Yeah.
That'll do wonders for your RPI.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that Arkansas probably could have used at some point.
I'm sure they could have.
I think there was a time when, you were getting towards the end of the selection show, and I saw some people on Twitter saying, like, is Arkansas even going to make it? And I don't think I ever questioned that, but there was a question, I think a legitimate question, is Arkansas going to be a 2-seed or a 3-seed? Especially with the way they ended the year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think maybe I mentioned this on the last podcast, but it was like, at this point, they've got to be closer to a 3 than a 1.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which is insane because just 2 weeks ago we were like, well, if they win 2 games in Tuscaloosa, win 2 games in Hoover, then they're probably at home.
Yeah.
And they won 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. And 3 of the 4 losses were to Alabama. That's tough. That is tough.
Alabama, who had a nice little run in Hoover there.
They did, yeah. I mean, they looked really good. Them and then Florida, another team that Arkansas lost to, made it to the championship game, right?
Yeah, they beat a hot Alabama team. They shut out Texas A&M in the semifinal.
Yeah, Texas A&M, who I'll go ahead and say it on this podcast. I have a future bet on Texas A&M to win the College World Series. I found it at plus 15,000 odds. Put $10 on them. If they win, I win $1,500. So
If you hear somebody shouting "Hullabaloo, connect," it's Mason.
I don't want to say that I'm rooting for Texas A&M, but if Arkansas is not in Omaha and Texas A&M is, I might be rooting for the Aggies a little bit. That's a lot of money off of $10. Now, do I think it's going to hit? Probably not. But A&M, good baseball team.
Interesting storyline in the College Station Regional. Jim Schlossnagel, who came from TCU, will be hosting TCU in Bryan College Station this weekend.
Yeah, big time. Also, we talked about it. We're not going to go in depth with the Chapel Hill Regional, but that's the one that the Stillwater Regional is matched up with. So in the scenario that Arkansas wins Stillwater and North Carolina loses Chapel Hill, Arkansas then hosts a Super?
I'm not certain of that.
Who's the 2 seed in Chapel Hill?
It's Georgia. I was looking at this earlier. Georgia has a higher RPI than Arkansas. I don't know what factors into this.
I have read, and I don't even remember who I read it from. I've just seen it that if Arkansas wins and Georgia wins, then Arkansas hosts a Super.
I mean, if you're picking between Foley Field and Baum-Walker Stadium, no disrespect to Foley, looks like a nice ballpark. I mean, you mentioned it earlier a couple weeks ago. Like, if the NCAA is down to a close decision, why would it not go with the ballpark that's going to sell more tickets?
No, I agree. I felt like that going into the regional, but then if Arkansas was on the line,
right? And now if you're talking about two seeds that they're not national seeds, right? So I don't know who has the advantage, but the ballpark factor certainly points to Arkansas.
Can you pull up RPI rankings, Christian?
Georgia, I think, was 4 slots ahead of Arkansas.
Okay.
I think. But I have no idea if that is important to the folks who decide who hosts a super regional.
Yeah, no.
But also Arkansas's got to win first, so.
Okay. Okay, you got it. Hold on. Go ahead.
All right, so as of May 29th, Georgia has 20 RPI. Arkansas was in the 40s, 41. Arkansas is at 41.
Okay, so wow, you're right. That's not that close.
It was not that close.
I still don't know if it matters though. Does
Right.
RPI matter at that point?
I don't know. Hopefully we'll get the guest that we are hoping to get, and he will explain it for us.
Okay. Do we want to do starting pitching now?
Yeah, we can talk about
Or do
it.
you want to do the statement about what happened? We have to say something about it.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it. Move on.
As some of you know, a radio host in Northwest Arkansas, who we're not going to name his name because his name has gotten too much attention, said things about Michael Turner, who's been on this podcast, who we have openly supported all season long. Called him a stupid ass, called him a disgrace, a loser, said he shouldn't wear the uniform, called him a candy ass.
Not a Razorback.
Not a Razorback, a rental player. All of these things, it's not right. The person has been suspended, issued an apology, which take it however you will. He made an apology. That's that. But I'll just speak on behalf of the entire Diamond Hogs podcast. We don't support it. We don't support that person. We're very disappointed. And there are some decisions that have to be made moving forward, not only with them, but with us.
Yeah, I think that's well said. It's I thought the comments were peculiar considering that Turner has led the team in batting average for a great majority of the season. Still hitting very close to 300.
Been a very good catcher, aside from a couple of mistakes against Alabama.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's that.
that's that. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. So that was just it was very, very hard to listen to that, to be honest, and to go what I'll say my issue with it, and we'll move on. My issue with it was that nobody had an issue with it, including the person who said it, until somebody brought it up. And that's when somebody realized that there was an issue. And that's the problem, is that people were okay with it until somebody realized that this isn't okay. Okay, moving on.
Starting pitching?
Yes.
Okay, so here we are at 10:40 Wednesday morning. We will know we hope to know who will be the Razorback starting pitcher in Game 1. About 12:50 is when the Arkansas press conference is Thursday afternoon. So we will try to figure that out. Obviously, stay tuned on Twitter. We're not going to, I guess we're kind of going to speculate who it might be here, but just know that whatever we say is not official until you see something on Twitter.
Yeah, of course. It wouldn't make sense because Robert's going to Stillwater Thursday. I think I'm heading up Friday. And we wouldn't be able to get back in the studio. We wouldn't really have time to record anything, so we're recording it early, and that leads to us having to speculate. And so I think, personally, from what I'm hearing from sources and from what just I've watched this season, Connor Nolan's going to start the first game. I think that is the reasonable decision, what they will probably end up going with, even though he's really struggled his last few outings. What do you say, Robert?
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned this recently. I don't know how recently, but you've got to trust your most senior pitcher. Ideally, there's a better option, but right now, I don't know that there is a better option. Go with the guy that's led your staff all year. Hope he can bounce back, and I don't know. If he can keep it to 3 earned runs or fewer, then call it a success, and hopefully the Hogs can score some runs. Because, I think Connor Nolan has had enough good games this year that they should have been able to score enough runs to get him a win or two over these last several, I guess, subpar outings for Nolan.
Yeah, Christian, read those last few. The one starting at
Ole Miss.
Yeah, that one.
Innings for.
Quit talking when I mute the mics.
Sorry.
Go, Christian.
Yeah, so at Ole Miss, Robert's right, 8 innings. He did give up 4 runs. And then at Auburn, 4 innings and 3 runs. And then the last 3 starts have really been the ones, I guess, that we're kind of talking about now. Vanderbilt, Bama, and Florida, 5 earned runs each. 5 innings or less each time.
That's tough. You don't even get 5 innings and you get 5 runs given up? That's tough.
Yeah, we're talking about it. Like, they're going to have the potential to play 4 or 5 games this weekend, right? In the regional.
Which would be easily worst case scenario. Like,
oh, yeah.
Arkansas does not have the starting pitching to go that long.
Right. So Nolan is going to have to get through 5. I think that's going to be your indicator as to will Arkansas win this regional. Does Connor Nolan get through 5?
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't, you got a lot of innings to eat up still in Game 1, and then at least 2 more games after that if you're going to win it.
I'm looking at the schedule for Grand Canyon and just the runs that they've scored. They played Arizona February 22nd, put up 19 runs against Arizona.
Wow.
That was a number 11 Arizona team. Put up 13 runs at Oregon State. Scored 7 at Arizona State. I'm trying to look up their runs against quality opponents. Let's see, that's 24 runs. Wait, no, sorry, my bad. 17 runs in 2 games against Texas Tech. That was number 4 Texas Tech. Wow, Stanford crushed in the first game. They scored 5 runs against Stanford in the second game. Scored 11 against Arizona on May 3rd.
5 runs against Stanford is more than Arkansas had, right?
Arkansas had 0, right? They didn't score.
Correct.
Wow. Yeah, this is going to be tough.
No cakewalk.
And then as far as starting pitching goes, this is per Andrew Hutchinson from HawgBeat.com. This is his preview story. Go check it out at HawgBeat.com. He said if Grand Canyon sticks with what it did all year, super senior Nick Hull will get the nod against Arkansas. He's got a 3.89 ERA, a 1.24 whip, 92 strikeouts, 24 walks, and opponents are hitting 260 against him in 90 and a third innings.
260 opponent batting average.
Yep. And 90 and a third innings. That's a lot of innings. That's more than any other Arkansas starter, right? I don't think any Arkansas starter. Go to the Arkansas stats page.
But 260, that's hittable.
It's hittable, but they're not scoring. I mean, to go 90 and a third and have a 3.89 ERA, that's pretty good.
Sure it is, but I mean, Arkansas is going to need to break the bats out, and that's a good opportunity to do so. 260 is on the higher end of things.
But how many times have we said this year that a pitcher's hittable and Arkansas didn't hit them? Like last year, we could say that, and it happened. I remember specifically in the LSU series, we said these pitchers are hittable, and Arkansas just crushed them. But this year's just a different story, man.
It is.
Go ahead.
What was your question? Starting pitcher innings?
Most innings from an Arkansas starting pitcher. It's got to be Nolan.
Nolan with 86. That's the most.
Close.
Yeah, close. It's closer than I thought.
I mean, ideally, if Nolan hadn't been struggling, maybe he would have more innings at this point, but whatever.
Yeah.
We talked about we just mentioned hitting, and they've got to get the bats going. I wonder if what we just mentioned about the radio host comments, does that light a fire under this team?
I think that that's possible.
Because the support that came of Michael Turner. I mean, the official team account said something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's tough with this team because it feels like there's been a lot of things that could have gotten them riled up this year. And Dave Van Horn said it himself after the selection show. He said, "We're at the point now where we shouldn't have to motivate these guys."
Yeah.
And maybe it's the motivation they need, or maybe it's just another situation where it's like somebody else says something bad about this team, and they take it to heart, and it affects their play. That's another thing, is that the comments made were about what Michael Turner said about reading stuff on Twitter, which I 100% support what Turner said, because there are college athletes committing suicide and very mentally not there. They're depressed because of things that they read on social media. And you can say, well, don't be on social media. Don't be on Twitter. Don't read it. You don't realize that, and we're this age, they grew up in this era. That's what they do. That's what we do. We get on Twitter. You can tell us not to, but we do because that's what we know.
It's a lot easier said than done to say just don't go on Twitter.
And so maybe just don't say some stupid jerk comment. That's a lot easier to do than to say Michael Turner don't get on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about college athletes taking their own lives. I mean, there was a James Madison University softball player who did so this year, and the team canceled its season. It's a real issue.
It is. And the people who think it's not an issue, you're part of the problem. Because if you don't think it's an issue, then the issue is you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All the people that I'm reading in the comments that are supporting the radio host, I get it if you're saying he shouldn't lose his job. Maybe he shouldn't. But if you're saying that what he said was right, then that's just absolutely false. Anyways, I'm still worked up over it.
No, I understand. I mean, we spent a good chunk of our ride back from Hoover talking about it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about more of Arkansas starting pitching, because we talked about Nolan probably game one. Then you have scenarios. If Arkansas loses, then you're basically, it's an elimination game, and you're just throwing your best arms out there. I think if Arkansas loses, you're probably going to see maybe Evan Taylor or Brady Tigert start that game.
Yeah, there's no tomorrow, so you might as well use whoever is looking good in the bullpen. It doesn't have to be Smith. It doesn't have to be Wiggins. I might even say that it shouldn't be those two based on how they've been performing recently.
Maybe Zach Morris, too. He's shown that he can give you 3 really good innings.
Yeah.
And then I was talking with Kevin Bohannon, Coach Kevin Bohannon, friend of the podcast. Sorry. And he said, even if Arkansas doesn't have to go to an elimination game and they win game 1, game 2, it's still not you're gonna play it safe and start McIntyre or Wiggins or whoever, which it might happen. Like I could see McIntyre starting game 2, but it's still like you want to play the minimum amount of games as you possibly can because of the pitching situation. And so there's still probably going to be, like you said, the hottest arm in the bullpen that day, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing that says you have to start a starting pitcher. Use an opener. Try it. See what happens.
I mean, they started Kevin Kopps against NC State last year.
And he pitched, I know it was his only loss of the year, but I would say the game of his life.
Yeah. Speaking of NC State, oof.
Their athletic department has had a tough year.
I think so. I tweeted out like, good news, Arkansas doesn't have to play NC State in the postseason this year, but it really sucks for NC State, especially with the way that their year got cut short last year.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't remember what happened.
They basically were forced to forfeit, right? Because of COVID.
Yeah,
and then
in Omaha when they were still playing hot, didn't they beat Vanderbilt? Or they beat somebody in Omaha.
I think they did beat Vanderbilt. They were 2-0.
Oh, really?
I think they were 2-0, so they had games to lose.
And then they played a game with what? Like a very limited roster as well.
North Carolina State beat number 9 Stanford 10-6 in the first game, beat Vanderbilt 1-0 in the second game to go to 2-0. And then they had like 13 players in the semifinal, lost 3-1. They only lost by 2 in a game in which they had pitchers playing all around the field.
Wait, they played Vandy 3 times?
They were supposed to play Vandy 3 times. It was ruled a no contest.
Wow.
The last one. So Vanderbilt did nothing and advanced to the College World Series Finals.
Yeah, still blows my mind that Arkansas won that first game 21-2 and then went to lose the series.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that NC State gave up that game, but still.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as pitching goes, do we want to talk more about pitching or what? Christian, you got something to say? No. Okay.
I mean, you're gonna have to lean on your hottest bullpen arms this week, and I think that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, it's just winter season's over, you know.
You gotta hope that the starters can give you some good innings, but this is gonna be a bullpen weekend, I think.
Okay, looking at the lineup, I think that you're gonna see some changes in the lineup. One of which, and this is something that I've talked to some people about, people close to the team. I can really see Caden Wallace moving down to maybe the 3-hole because he is not getting base runners in front of him. Like Gregory's not getting on base. Anybody at the bottom of the lineup has not been getting on base, and Caden Wallace is going to drive in more runs than anybody right now.
Right. I mean, that's why I made the Gregory prediction about leading the team in runs to start the year, right? Is because he's got Caden Wallace, a few batters behind him. Caden Wallace is going to drive in a lot of runs. When he doesn't get on base, like you said, it makes it harder for Wallace to drive in runs. And the other guys at the bottom of the order aren't really producing either. I mean, Peyton Stovall was 0 for this past week. He was, 0 for 6 in 2 games in Hoover?
Yeah.
You have to wonder if he's even going to be in the lineup at this point.
I don't think Stovall will be. The way I look at it is, I think you move Wallace down to 3 or 4 and have at least Lanzilli and Turner ahead of him. 2 guys that you can trust to get a hit. I think you got to keep Gregory in the lineup just because he gets on base, even though he's not hitting the ball. Borafin, would love to see Borafin. I think it's time to see Borafin.
So Slavin's at first, and then Gregory in left and Borafin DH, or Borafin in right, Lanzilli DH?
Either way.
Okay.
I think that they really trust Lanzilli in right, so probably Borafin DH.
Okay.
Maybe Diggs at some point. I don't know. And then you have your normal core guys in Moore and Webb.
I don't remember if we talked about this on the last episode, but Robert Moore hit 7th against Florida.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not. I don't really think that that's anything out of the ordinary. Robert Moore's been moving all around the lineup, just trying to figure something out, some way to get him going.
I mean, they're going to have to keep tinkering, right? And it sucks that they're at this point in the year and they still haven't figured out a really solid batting order, but it's something they have to deal with.
Yeah, I want to look at the lineup from the Florida game again. So Webb lead off, Wallace second, Turner Lanzilli, Slavens, Battles, Moore, Stovall, Gregory.
And like we said on the last episode, like those top 4 hitters, Webb, Wallace, Turner, Lanzilli, they were pretty effective. I mean, they were 5 for 17 combined.
Yeah.
Had 3 home runs.
I think, Webb, maybe Webb's your leadoff guy. Maybe Webb. I think if you did Webb, Turner, Lanzilli, Wallace, that would be ideal.
I think Webb leading off works because we've been talking about it recently. His on base percentage is steadily climbing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like so. That's what you need out of a leadoff guy. So.
I think Battles. You can move Battles up to the 5 hole again, maybe. I don't know. Battles does better at the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah, he had a tough game on Friday against Florida. Like I can't stop thinking about how they got the leadoff guy on 4 out of the first 8 innings and then didn't move him past first base.
Yeah.
I mean, Battles was the second hitter in the second, struck out, third hitter in the fourth, struck out, and then popped up in the 8th.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But he was one of 3 guys to have multiple hits in Hoover, so.
Yep. So as far as health goes, Brady Tigert, he should be fine. Dehydration.
Nauseated.
Florida. I think we can all assume why he was dehydrated.
in a 9:30 a.m. game.
Yeah. I think he's living his best life, man. Good for Brady Tigert. Not good for Arkansas.
I mean, as long as he's not carrying that into a game situation.
Yeah. Well, he did. So, we did mention the whole Dave Van Horn sickness thing. Apparently, he's feeling better. Still not 100%.
No more salads.
No more salads. So, there's your update on Dave Van Horn's health as well. Okay. Before we do anything else, want to remind you about Matt Morris State Farm. He's your good neighbor. He's your one-stop shop located in Central Arkansas for the service you deserve at the price you want. Stop looking around. Stop doing it. Go to Matt Morris, State Farm agent and University of Arkansas alum. He's ready to help those in the natural state. I'm telling you, not only do you get great rates, you get the discount for good driving, and if you're a student, you get the good student discount. Call him at 501-568-3222 for surprisingly great rates. The customer service is also awesome, too. Like I said it before, I got a new car in March, and I called them before I was getting the car. I was like, hey, I'm getting this car. I want to be insured before I drive off the lot. And they were like, sounds good. We got your information. Just call us when you're driving off the lot, and you'll be insured. I called them right when I got in the car after purchasing, and not even 2 minutes later, I was driving off full coverage. And that's what State Farm can do for you. Call Matt Morris, 501-568-3222. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. I'm getting good at that.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Robert, what do you got for me?
I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma State's got a new ballpark. I'm kind of excited about this, honestly. Like, I guess we've shared our hatred of Oklahoma on this podcast before, considering that.
Oh, I forgot we have to drive through Oklahoma. I didn't even think about that. Oh my gosh, that sucks.
Hey, it's only 3 hours. I won't complain about a 3-hour drive.
Oh, I'm going to have to put my cruise on right at the speed limit. Goodness gracious. Christian, you ever driven through Oklahoma?
A couple times, yeah. I don't really, nothing to write home about, you know.
It's a trashy state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something to write home about, but it's not good.
Yeah, you'll get a speeding ticket if you're going any. There's so many speed traps in Oklahoma. Oh my goodness.
Fortunately, we won't have to be on that road.
Yeah. I'm still angry about it.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
But they've got a new ballpark. I mean, if we're spending all day at the ballpark, we should be fine.
Yeah, we should be. Hopefully the food's good.
Can't get caught speeding if you're in the press box.
Yeah. Okay. I think that if you just look at this field, so Grand Canyon scares me, but Oklahoma State, they did well down the stretch, especially in the Big 12 tournament. Aside from losing to Texas twice, and then they did get swept by Texas Tech in their second to last series of the season. Let's just say they weren't as dominant later on in the season as they were early on. I think Oklahoma State, beatable team. Missouri State, that one, you have to throw the midweek out the window because that didn't really matter. Midweeks don't matter.
Well, and we heard from Dave Van Horn that they were not. It sounded like they had given that game up intentionally.
I could tell because they weren't hitting the freaking ball.
Well, I mean, not so much from a hitting perspective, but like they were just throwing whatever arm was up.
Oh yeah, Nick Morris threw in that. Not Nick Morris. What's his name?
Griffin.
Nick Griffin. Nick Griffin threw in that game, and I was like shocked that Nick Griffin was in the game.
McIntyre 3 innings, Ramage 2, Vermillion 1, Morris 2, Heston Toll a third. Nick Griffin did not record an out, and Elijah Trest got 2.
Yeah, when they brought in Toll and Griffin, you could tell.
And the game wasn't out of hand at that point.
No, I think it was a 2-run game. Maybe
it was 3-1 in the ninth.
Yeah,
and they decided to start Heston Toll.
Yeah.
Have we seen Heston Toll since then?
I don't think so. Producer Christian, he'll look it up. But I don't think so.
Remember when I asked Van Horn about are we going to see him more, and then we didn't?
What do you say? I think you'll see him again at some point. Probably.
Like he was like, "Yeah, we want to get him more innings."
Yeah.
The question was that his last outing?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
So it's been almost a full month. That was May 3rd. You're listening to this probably on June 2nd. Regional starts June 3rd.
Yeah. Tough for Heston Toll. Yeah.
I really thought after the way he performed down the stretch last year, he would be a much more important piece this year.
Me too, man. Me too. Ended up being Will McIntyre, though.
Yeah, not something you saw coming after the first half of the season.
No. Another thing I will say about Grand Canyon, and this is another thing from Kevin Bohannon. Let me pull it up. He had a good point that I don't know from watching them because I didn't watch them, but he did.
While you're doing this, it's worth noting that I believe the head coach of Grand Canyon, his name is Stankiewicz.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Awesome name.
Let's see. He said he would throw a junk ball guy like McIntyre against Grand Canyon. They need strikes and they hit fastballs. A guy that can bend it a bit could benefit them. So if that's the case,
Brady Tigert
or Will McIntyre. I mean, Nolan historically has been a guy like that, but Kevin Bohannon made a good point. Nolan has not been throwing enough strikes.
He hasn't, and he can't locate his fastball. Which, again, if they're fastball hitters, not
a big deal.
A big deal, but
if you can't throw
also,
anything else for a strike, there you go. So
also they could probably be sitting curveball at this point.
You might see McIntyre start the first game. I mean, he started the first game the last 2 times they played out. I mean, the first game in SEC tournament, first game against Alabama.
Again, press conference is at 12:50 Thursday, so stay tuned for updates.
Yep. Okay, what else you want to talk about? We got to kill some time here.
We can mention who's in the Chapel Hill Regional. We mentioned that they're paired together. Obviously, UNC is the host. Georgia's the 2 seed. Virginia Commonwealth is the 3 seed, and Hofstra, I think, making its first tournament appearance in a very long time, if not for the first time ever, is the 4 seed. So, I mean,
Georgia, a team that played really, really bad down the stretch.
Yes, lost a series at home to Missouri in the last weekend of the regular season. One and done in Hoover, lost to, I guess, a hot Alabama team.
And there was like 3 rain delays in that game.
Yes.
I do want, for those who are like getting their hopes up about North Carolina losing to Georgia, maybe. Georgia played really bad down the stretch. North Carolina played really good down the stretch. Do not get your hopes up.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Tar Heels this year, but I mean, it seems like they're a perennial host.
I read a lot of national guys this past week talking about how good North Carolina.
They won the ACC tournament, right?
I
want to say they beat NC State.
We'll have our producer pull it up.
I believe they beat NC State in the ACC tournament final.
Huh.
And the ACC was no slouch this year. I mean, you had Virginia Tech, who's the number 4 national seed. UVA is a 2 seed somewhere.
Yep, they beat NC State.
Beat NC State. NC State, who people are calling the snub of, I don't know, maybe the century.
North Carolina didn't lose a game in the ACC tournament. They beat Clemson, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and NC State. Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, 2 top 10 teams.
Yeah, Notre Dame. People were kind of upset that they didn't host. Wake Forest is another good school. I think they're a 2 seed in College Park, maybe. So
Say Florida State already.
Florida State made the tournament. What?
Miami.
Are they in the Miami regional?
I don't know. I know Miami's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, Miami's number 6 seed.
ACC, a really good baseball conference as well.
The bummer about NC State, though, is not being able to see Tommy White. He's probably one of the greatest
Tommy
baseball players of all time.
Tommy Tanks. We will get to watch the Hispanic Titanic. What regional were they in?
Austin?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
hosting.
They're hosting.
I'm an idiot. My bad.
Louisiana Tech's their 2 seed, I want to say.
And Air Force, actually.
Air Force is the 4 seed, DBU.
Who beat them in a midweek earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, so that Austin Regional, Air Force versus Texas, and then DBU versus Louisiana Tech.
Wow.
Arkansas DBU would have been a good one.
I don't think a lot of people wanted to see that, but also,
I mean, they've had success in them against them in the postseason before, but
yeah, I think getting in a regional with Missouri State is like the worst case scenario.
right. Well, just occurred to me we could talk about the last couple of times Arkansas started the postseason on the road. 2015, Stillwater again.
Yeah.
Won that regional. Missouri State was the 8 seed that year, and yet they were deemed unfit to host.
Oh, because they play in a minor league ballpark, and the minor league team had games.
In Springfield, Missouri,
and that's why they had to have it in Fayetteville.
AA Springfield Cardinals, I believe. Yeah, and then the Hogs won 2 out of 3 in that Super, went to Omaha.
Wait, is Memphis AAA now?
I think Memphis has always been.
I thought Memphis was AA.
I don't know. I remember going to a Travelers game a very, very long time ago, and they were playing the Springfield Cardinals.
Okay, I'm not questioning you.
Anyway, yeah, they won. I believe they swept the Stillwater Regional 3-0 in 2015. Oral Roberts was one of the teams. Oklahoma State was obviously the number 1 seed. Don't remember the 3 seed. And then 2012 was another big year because that was the last time they went 0-2 in Hoover, right?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they went on to make it to the College World Series.
Correct. They went through the Houston Regional, beat Rice. Waco Super Regional, beat Baylor.
Waco. Yeah, that was a. I remember watching that one on TV.
So yeah, I mean, those are big talking points, right? And we put a poll out about this on Tuesday.
Speaking of polls, we need to mention our bracket thing.
Oh yes, we do. But yeah, we put a poll about who do you think is going to win the Stillwater Regional, and fans are really drinking the Kool-Aid. 76% of 273 votes say Arkansas.
I'm gonna be honest. Right hand up. I voted Oklahoma State.
I mean,
who'd you vote for, Christian?
No
Did
shame.
You vote?
I voted for Arkansas.
No, of course you did. You're a homer.
19% of 273 said Oklahoma State.
I think the 3.3% that voted Grand Canyon. A lot of people sleeping on Grand Canyon.
I'm curious about the 2% who voted for Missouri State.
Yeah.
There's my proof. Yep.
Okay. I'm on the Diamond Hogs podcast account right now. Robert, who did you vote for?
I voted for Oklahoma State.
Okay. So
No faith.
2 realistic guys. Hey, I don't think anybody hopes Arkansas wins it more than us because it's really good for our business.
Good for business. We get to keep doing this.
Yeah, we get to keep doing our podcast. So if Arkansas State lose, if Arkansas loses, then not only do we only have 1, maybe 2 more episodes of this podcast for this season, which is disappointing for us, but it's disappointing for the listeners. I feel like they want to listen more. Hopefully, maybe they're tired of us.
I mean, at least the feedback we get on Twitter is nice.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the bracket challenge. We're doing a bracket challenge.
Correct.
You should definitely go check out any of our social pages at Diamond Hogs Podcast on Facebook. Just search Diamond Hogs Pod. I'm not sure what the Instagram is. And it is at Diamond Hogs Pod on Twitter. We made a post Tuesday. We'll probably re-up that sometime soon. If you are interested in winning this Michael Turner T-shirt, you want to hold it up there?
Yeah, if you're watching on the YouTube, we got it right here.
There is a Michael Turner T-shirt. It is a adult large.
It's black. It says Slugger in the Ozarks on the front with a hog and some bats and some trees. And on the back, it's got a little clock with a catcher's mask, a number 12 jersey, a Razorback, and home plate, and it says Turner because it's Turner time.
So if you're interested in winning this shirt that Mason so accurately described, hopefully you can see it on the YouTube pretty well. If you're interested in winning that shirt, you can reply to that post or send us a DM with your email. I will personally invite you to our group on d1baseball.com, and we can have a fun little competition.
Winner gets the shirt.
Winner gets the shirt.
We'll send you some Chinook seeds with it, too.
Sounds good.
Chinook seeds, go to chinookseedery.com. Use code DHP10 for the best tasting seeds in the world.
We didn't even mention those on the last time, did we?
No, I will say that the entire drive to and from Hoover, I was chewing on some Chinook seeds.
Can confirm.
They are, they keep you alert.
You're not going to fall asleep when
No.
you're driving.
I love, and it does, like, I got home, no sandpaper tongue. Like, my tongue felt fine. That sounds weird. My mouth felt fine. It didn't hurt. And I think that I have a new favorite flavor.
What is it?
Well, a cinnamon toast is my favorite, but that one doesn't count because it's hard to get.
You just have to order it.
Yeah.
Oh, so hard.
It is hard. Parmesan and pepper. I think Parmesan and
It's
pepper is my
really
new
good.
favorite flavor.
It is really good.
My only knock on the jalapeno ranch is that, like, I have to, because it makes my mouth burn. I'm not good with spicy foods. Christian, are you good with spicy foods?
I used to be. I'm beginning to like hate spicy foods
Okay.
now. It just burns my mouth too much.
What's your favorite flavor again?
Parmesan.
Okay, the Parmesan and pepper.
I want to
really
try
good.
the cinnamon though. You got to get me some.
You still got some, Robert?
I'm running on the end of my bag.
Oh.
You kept reaching in Hoover.
We were in Hoover, and I was like, Robert, you still got that cinnamon toast? Can I just get a handful? 4 handfuls later,
Yeah.
bag's almost done.
So I'm savoring those.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Okay, what else can we talk about? I think we're about done. Need to remind you about Matt Moore, State Farm, though. He is your good neighbor. It's not like those commercials with like Jake and Chris Paul, Patrick Mahomes represent.
The original Jake from State Farm was funny though.
It was. This is Matt Morris. He's a University of Arkansas alum, which means he knows where you're coming from. He's an Arkansas fan himself, and he wants to help out other Razorback fans, not only the ones in Central Arkansas, which is where he's located, but in all of Hog country. So call him at 501-568-3222 for your surprisingly great rates today. They are surprisingly great, and you can also do things to get better rates like driving safe and having good grades if you're a student. So individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. Okay, let's do our regional predictions.
Oh,
Have you thought about it? Also, Robert, thanks a lot for retweeting your tweet about Evan Lee starting and not mine. Even though I have the sources.
I don't think I retweeted my own tweet.
You did from the Diamond Hawks Pod account. I'm literally looking at it right here.
Okay, maybe I don't remember it. Could have been somebody else.
No,
A lot of people have the login.
Christian, did you do it?
Did I do what?
Did you retweet Robert's tweet from the Diamond Hawks podcast account?
It could have been me, and I just don't.
It was you. I know it was you.
It might have been me. It might have been me.
Oh, frick.
Well, here's something I wanted to talk about. So at least 9 SEC teams have earned tournament bids in the last 4 tournaments. 9. And also, Mason, did you say something about Auburn and you didn't think they should be where they are ranked at the end of the year?
On the last episode?
Or like just texting me? I feel like it was either you or someone was like, I don't think Auburn should be where they are or something like that.
I said I don't think Auburn should host a regional.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
I
they,
mean-
they are hosting a regional, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
they
the
shouldn't.
14 seed, I think.
Yeah, 14.
That's way too high. They literally lost their first game in the SEC tournament.
Only game in the SEC tournament.
Yeah. Sent home by Kentucky, by the way.
Right. The only run came from a home run by the SEC Player of the Year,
Sonny DeShara.
co-SEC Player of the Year.
So Auburn went 37-19. Arkansas went, what, 38-18?
37.
I think Arkansas was 38-18.
I don't know if they won a 38th game or not.
38-18.
Okay.
Boom. Roasted. Suck it.
All right. Yeah, it was 38-17 that I was thinking.
Auburn down the stretch lost a series to Kentucky. won 2 games against Alabama. One of them was canceled. Lost to Arkansas. Lost to Tennessee. And then they also lost to Kentucky in the SEC tournament. You're telling me that team deserves to host? The only reason they're hosting is because of RPI, which is a flawed system. Very, very flawed system. Christian, you mentioned it. I said it, and I stand by it as much as I stand by the fact that I could play for UAPB.
That RPI is flawed. You stand by that?
Yes.
No, I'm with you.
NCAA baseball.
I mean,
They were 14 in RPI.
14 RPI.
Arkansas took 2 of 3 at Auburn. Auburn finished, 4th in the SEC West? Because they were the 5 seed. LSU was the 3. LSU was the 4. Arkansas was the 3. A&M was the 2 in Hoover. So they were 4th in the division. LSU didn't host. Arkansas is not hosting. How come on? I don't get that.
Auburn 16-13 in the SEC, 37-19 overall, 11-8 on the road, and they're hosting. LSU 17-13, 38-20, 10-7 on the road, not hosting. Arkansas, as we know, not hosting. Vanderbilt, not hosting. Georgia, not hosting. Florida, hosting.
There are 3 teams hosting in the SEC.
Tennessee, Florida,
A&M, Florida. Tennessee and A&M won the divisions. Florida, I guess, if you go on a run in Hoover, that's what you get. But that's crazy, too, because, Florida was never really that impressive during the year. I know they beat the Hogs, but they probably weren't higher than 3rd in the East.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay, predictions. I'm going to say, this is tough because I haven't even thought about it until now.
How do you want to do this? Because, the bracket challenge, you get to pick a winner and a runner-up. Are we going game by game here? What's going on?
I think we should go game by game.
Oof, okay.
I'm going to say Oklahoma State beats Missouri State. Grand Canyon beats Arkansas.
So, elimination game number 1, Arkansas versus
Arkansas.
Missouri State.
Yeah. Arkansas beats Missouri State in the elimination game.
Okay. Who loses Grand Canyon, Oklahoma State?
Grand Canyon.
Arkansas, Grand Canyon, round 2.
Grand Canyon beats Arkansas, knocks them out.
Grand Canyon beats Arkansas twice, says Mason Choate.
It's so hard to say this team's going to win a single game.
No, I hear you.
Okay, go ahead, Robert. You got something better than me.
Did you want to finish that, or
Oklahoma State wins the regional.
Does Grand Canyon force a game 7 or no?
No.
Okay. Oklahoma State goes 3-0, wins the regional.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I have to think that Arkansas is going to win the first game.
Grand Canyon's good, man.
I hear you. Okay. Arkansas wins. Oklahoma State wins. We'll say Grand Canyon bounces Missouri State in the elimination game. Oklahoma State beats Arkansas. Grand Canyon beats Arkansas. I'll go in with you. Here's why. In the 1-on-1 game, it seems like whoever starts in the losers bracket always has an advantage. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it's they're playing hot, right? You already won one elimination game. You figure you can win the next. But losing one and then trying to win another when the other team's hot, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I will say Arkansas beats Grand Canyon the first time, does not beat Grand Canyon the second time.
And of course, we hope that Arkansas wins. We hope that we're wrong. We hope we're wrong. But okay, Christian.
And I'll say that Oklahoma State finishes off Grand Canyon.
Okay.
Arkansas is going to win the whole thing. They're going all the way
Whole
through.
tournament?
Not the whole tournament. No, the regional. They're getting through. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think they're going to dig deep and figure it out somehow. And it'll be some crazy games, but I really hope they get through.
So you think it's a new season? They're going to get it figured out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Playoff baseball, baby. Catch the fever.
Fair enough. All right. I guess that's going to wrap it up here, guys. Want to remind you one more time, Matt Morris, State Farm. Go check him out for great rates, 501-568-3222. If you're trying to get some new insurance, you definitely need to go to him because you're not going to get a better rate anywhere else. and I'm being for real. Like, I'm not just saying this because he's sponsoring us. I'm saying this because I personally use State Farm, and I think that it is the best insurance that you can get out there. So call him 501-568-3222 for your great rates today. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. All right, guys. We will talk to everybody after the first game. We're going to do post-game again. So we'll talk to them. We'll talk to you on Friday.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at drstew32.